Hey YouTube, Common Collector here, and today I'm bringing you guys a hand test video on how to play Morphtronics, specifically with the Crystal Clear Wing Synchro Dragon sort of build in here. So this just sort of relies on the extra deck. So if there is a different like extra deck boss monster that you do want to go for, whether you're playing like Quasar Dragon, which used to be how I used to run this deck, or you just want to go into big powerful synchros like Baronne de Fleur and stuff, which we are still playing in this deck, or just big links. This will still really help you to understand the plays to do. There is going to be probably a different deck profile and combo tutorial on how to run this deck with a focus on link summoning, but we will get to that another time. So today we are just focusing on mainly Crystal Clear Wing Synchro Dragon. We are going to be ending basically all of our boards with an Appaloosa, the Bow of the Goddess, and then just however else we can extend by using like our Smartphone, Cellphone, and Telephone to get us the most absurd and broken plays that we can, and all kind of relying on dice rolls. So that's why today is going to be a hand test video. We're not going to really, there's not really like combos that we can go through unless we just did like a combo on like what if you open with Cellphone and machine duplication, but we're just going to sort of skip all that. And we'll just sort of see how the hand tests go. But basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to end on Appaloosa, Bow of the Goddess, like you're going to get there somewhere halfway through your plays, get TG Hyper Librarian on the field, go into Formula Synchron a whole bunch of times and use Desynchro on Formula Synchron, making sure that your materials were summoned correctly. So Desynchro with like with Cellphone and Smartphone does work. You just have to make sure that the Smartphone was not summoned by Cellphone's effect, because that ignores the summoning conditions, and if this wasn't properly summoned using its own effect, then it will not work. But then you can bring them back to the field, send Formula Synchron back to the extra deck, and then these guys can reuse their effects again, and then you can just take these to go back in and get Formula out again and draw 2 cards once again, and then you can just go all the way back through your deck, which is really crazy. You get to just draw so much. Now you can actually use Telephone instead of Smartphone to be able to do that play. So you can get Smartphone or use Telephone instead. That way you can revive stuff back from the graveyard, which is really cool. And none of their effects are really hard ones per turn, so it is really cool and like very possible to use and abuse their effects many times. And just one other last thing to note is that you definitely want to make sure to try to use your tuners as your link materials as often as possible, because I don't know why Konami thought we needed so many tuners for this deck. We have all of these, and then there is one more, which is the Remoten. So yeah, really there are just a ton of tuners for this deck. So you just want to make sure that if you're link summoning, you generally want to be using a tuner if you can. That way your non-tuners are still on the field for your synchro plays. But I think that that is a pretty good explanation on the deck. The only other thing that I have to talk about is that when you have your Formula Synchron out and you're like out of desynchros and stuff, then that's when you just kind of want to use one of your Monster Reborn effects or something to use one of your level 1s with the Formula Synchron to go into your Martial Metal Marcher. And then Martial Metal Marcher with Clear Wing Synchro Dragon on the field. And then you use these 2 to synchro into your Crystal Clear Wing Synchro Dragon. And then you're just basically trying to end on maybe like an IP Masquerena, Link Karibo in the graveyard, and then like Baronne de Fleur on the field, and or Naturia Beast. So all of these will definitely come up as we go in through these hand tests. So let's get on into the first hand test for the video. All right, just going to give a little bit of a shuffle here. I think that that was overall a pretty good explanation on how the deck runs. If you guys didn't get the gist from the deck profile, if you guys have not seen the deck profile, definitely go ahead and check that out. That is on the channel, and I will try to leave that in the end card for this video. This is looking like a very promising hand. So we have Remoten in here to be able to banish a like level 1 generally from the graveyard to be able to get a new level 1 from the deck. Usually we're going for Smartphone, so it is unfortunate we drew 2 of our Smartphones, but we can still get that last one with the Remoten from the deck. We have a Morphtronic repair unit to sort of like our Monster Reborn, and then we have a Telephone for a pretty decent normal summon. So we are going to, you know, Telephone would be nice. He would be better if he was in defense mode, because then he could Foolish Barrel some stuff to the graveyard, but it would be better if we had like a Cellphone. But we'll just sort of see. This is the reason why we have Link Karibo in the deck. This would literally be a dead hand if we did not have Link Karibo, because we wouldn't be able to do anything. So Link Karibo, we're going to link away the Telephone for him. Then we would either use Morphtronic Repair Unit to bring him back to the field, or we would, yeah, I think what we're going to do is we're going to repair, no, we don't want to repair unit. We're going to use Smart Fawn to banish and special summon him to the field. We can always bring him back because we do have that one copy of Different Dimension Reincarnation. So if we do want to bring him back to the field, we always can. We're going to now use Smart Fawn's effect, and so we will use Smart Fawn, and we roll a 5. That was a pretty good roll. I'll try it. Hopefully I've got enough space on the field to be able to do this. So we only got 2 Morphtronic cards, so we're able to add one of these Morphtronic cards to our hand, and we're definitely going to be going for that Selfon. Selfon with the repair unit is overall a pretty good combination. So now what we want to do is we want to link these guys away to go into our Crystron Halqifibrax. Now that we have Halq on the field, we're able to use his effect to be able to get Scopen from out of the deck. 9 out of 10 times I'm always getting Scopen from out of the deck because it is treated as a level 4 while it's in defense position. Crystron Halqifibrax negates the activated effects of the monster that it summons, but it does not negate the continuous effects. So that is a very important thing to remember. So now that it is in defense, it is now a level 4. So if we get Selfon out onto the field, we can go into our level 5 TG Hyper Librarian play. That is 90% of the time the way that I get into that. So we have already used up our normal summon. So what we are going to do is we are going to use the Morphtronic repair unit to discard Selfon and then just bring him right back out onto the field. The only way that you can do this is if you already have a Morphtronic set up in the graveyard. So let's say that we just had Link Karibo in the graveyard. You are not actually able to do that where you just pitch one, pitch one and summon. You have to have at least one Morphtronic live in your graveyard. Okay, sorry if it does look a little bit darker. I did just sort of change up the camera or the light angle a little bit so that you guys can see a little bit better. There was a bit of a glare, so sorry about that. So we do have the Selfon out now, but generally what I like to do, if I ever have a Smart Fawn live, I like to go for the Smart Fawn play first, just to get a card out of the deck. So we will use this Smart Fawn to banish this one. So we will summon this to the field, and then we will use this Smart Fawn's effect before we use the Selfon. Like I said, just to clear something out of the deck. So we have a Telephon, a Scannon, and a repair unit. So we're going to go for that extra repair unit play. Definitely really nice to be adding those. If you can ever get the repair unit or converter, that's generally what I like to go for. And then you leave the Selfon to bring monsters out onto the field. So get the spells out with your Smart Fawn and bring out the monsters with the Selfon. So now that we have that done, we are going to use Selfon here to be able to roll, and we do get a 6, which is very huge. So we have a remote in here. We already have a remote in hand, so we can always bring that out. We have a Smart Fawn as well, and remote is going to be searching for Smart Fawn. I think right here we're probably going to be taking the Selfon. Scopen is also pretty tempting, but we already have one on the field. So Selfon just ends up leading to more monsters, so that's why you generally want to go for him if you can. And also right now, if you have this on your field, these 2 plus these 2, this automatically equals the TG Hyper Librarian and Formula Synchron sort of engine. So that already means that we were able to +2 off of these. So that's really good. So what we're going to do, just to sort of clear up the field a little bit, we are going to take these cards to go into we're going to go into our TG Hyper Librarian. If we did have any suspicions that our opponent was playing Nibiru or anything, we would obviously want to try to go into that. So we could take some of these cards to go in for our Appaloosa, so that our opponent is not going to Nibiru us, or he'll just sort of have to like use it earlier in the turn. But we're just going to sort of go through this combo line, assuming that our opponent has no interruption. So we don't want to forget about this Selfon here. So this is our new Selfon, and we can use his effect. So we're going to go for a 1, a 2, and a 3. So we do get the Scannon right there. Depends on what which mode you want to put him in, but I would probably put him in attack position, not mode. So we have attack position. Attack position, his effect is that once per turn during your main phase, you can add a Morphtronic spell or trap from your deck to your hand, and then place 1 card from your hand onto the top of the deck. Otherwise, in defense position, once per turn during your main phase, add a Morphtronic monster from your graveyard to your hand, and then put a card onto the top of the deck. So I would like to get another Morphtronic converter out of the deck. The only thing is that I do actually kind of like the Remoten. So we might just hold on to him for a second, and then we're going to see what else we can get. So we're going to take, actually we will try to thin the deck a little bit. So, no, because we're able to draw off of the formula. So I think we are still just going to risk it. We're going to go for the formula play right now. And you just want to make sure before going into the formula, again, that your Smartphon was summoned by its own effect. So, and this one was, so this is a good Smartphon target to go for. So we're going to take these two, and we are going to Synchro into our Formula Synchron, and then we're able to draw 2 because of the Hyper Librarian. So we're going to go for a draw 1 and a 2, and that's, you know, it's a little bricky, but that's okay. We do have the scan-in to be able to go in for another scan-in play, so because we can just banish and then go for him, so that's okay. What we're going to do now is we're going to go for our Morphtronic repair unit, and we are going to pitch our Telephon, and then we will just special Telephon out onto the field, and we're going to keep him. We're actually going to put our Telephon in defense mode, and there is a big reason for that, because we now have the scan-in on the field that we can do some really cool plays. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use our scan-in, and we're going to use his effect to be able to, what am I doing? Yeah, we're going to use his attack position effect to be able to pick a Morphtronic converter out of our deck, put it into our hand, and then we'll shuffle up our deck really quick. So you put it into your hand, and then you put 1 card onto the top of your deck. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this Remoten, and we are going to place that right there onto the top of our... actually, no, I still want to keep Remoten. We're going to put the Scan-In out onto the top of our deck. Now we're going to use our Telephon's effect to roll, and we rolled a 3, so we get to reveal the top 3 cards of our deck, and we get to mill 1 of them to the graveyard. So I want to get another Telephon into the graveyard. This was perfect. This is exactly kind of what we want going on forward here. So now we basically have unlimited link material with like the 2 Telephons going here. And you might be kind of wondering, like, well, how does that work now that we have him in defense mode? We can't, or defense position, I don't know why I keep saying mode. Defense position, now we can't really use that effect, but we can now use our Morphtronic converter. So we target 1 defense position monster that we control, change it to attack position, and then if you do special summon a level 4 or lower machine monster from your hand, so we can special summon this Remoten here out onto the field, and now Telephon is in attack position, so we're able to reuse his, or to use his attack position effect, which is really cool. So these 2 cards can combo with each other really, really nicely. They complement each other really well. Again, I really wish that they would have made one of these a non-tuner. That way, like, this right here would be a perfect level 7, and like they're just such a good combination together. But a really other cool thing just to note is the fact that we milled the Telephon to the graveyard, but that was all through like putting the scan-in to the top with our other scan-in. So it is kind of nice that you can sort of do that, and you just sort of have a guaranteed mill to the grave. So we could have just milled the scan-in, but we had a better option there with the Telephon. But it is just still really cool that you always have that option. We are now going to use this Remoten's effect to be able to... we don't really want to banish this Smartphon if we don't have to. Okay, so we're going to banish this Cellphon here to be able to pick up our last copy of Smartphon from the deck. We should have a 3rd. There it is. So we'll give the deck a little bit of a shuffle. The deck is getting, you know, like pretty thin. It's probably feels like about 25 cards. You can generally get your deck down to about like 12 to 15 cards if you combo nice and hard. But we are going to take finally our Halqifibrax, our Scan-In, and our Remoten. We'll take them to go into our Apollousa, Bow of the Goddess, now that we finally are able to clear the board a little bit and get a little space going here. So we are going to now use our Telephon's effect in attack position. We'll roll there, and we're able to revive anyone who's like a level 6 or higher. But we are probably actually just going to take the Cellphon. It would be better to probably take the Telephon, but it is just like... it's just better for us to take the Cellphon because he is a non-tuner monster. So it does sort of, you know, it makes you want to go for him because you need more non-tuners. So we will now use Cellphon's effect to try to bring something out. Sorry, my dice rolled off at the edge of the table there. We will reveal for a 6, which is pretty darn big. And we do have a Staplin here. Staplin would get us to another level 5. I think we're going to take that. So this is an automatic Naturia Beast, which is pretty cool. So we kind of have to take that, right? So we're going to take our Telephon and our Staplin, and these 2 are going to go ahead and make us a nice big Naturia Beast. Pretty darn cool. We'll put Naturia Beast over here so it's out of the link zones. And then we are able to draw one card because of TG Hyper Librarian. Now we have our different dimension reincarnation, so we have been pretty intentionally banishing these two so that we can bring them back if we did draw into that DDR. We are also able to use our Formula Synchron and our Selfon to go into our Martial Metal Marcher. And then we're also able to draw one more card. Plus, with our Martial Metal Marcher, when he's summoned, we are able to bring back one of our tuners in the graveyard and special summon it in defense position. So now we have to be kind of cognizant of what we want to revive. We have our different dimension reincarnation. With that, we are able to bring back our Selfon. So I'm thinking with this, it doesn't say what level the tuner has to be. So target a tuner in your graveyard and special summon it. So what we are going to do, just so we get guaranteed our Crystal Clearwing, we're going to bring back our Scannon from the graveyard. So Scannon must first be special summoned by his banishing effect, which we did use. So we'll bring back the Scannon to the field. I believe we did use his effect. So Scannon is now coming to the field, and we will use our different dimension reincarnation. We don't really need the Call by the Grave, we'll say, in this scenario. We're assuming that we're playing through all of our opponent's stuff. So we will pitch the Call by the Grave to bring back our Selfon onto the field. And now Selfon and Scannon can go for a Synchro play in for our Clearwing Synchro Dragon. So Clearwing hits the field, and we're able to draw another card for TG Hyper Librarian. And then we are able to take these guys to go in for our, where is it? Our Crystal Clearwing Synchro Dragon. And now we still have more stuff to do, so we will take our Smartphone and we'll go ahead and banish something else. We'll banish another Selfon for him, and we'll use his effect. So we will go and, did we draw for the Crystal Clearwing? I'm not sure if we did. No, we did not, so I just went and double-checked the footage, so we did not draw off of that for our TG Hyper Librarian, so we will pick up one more. So we do technically have Desynchro, which at this point we can't really use Desynchro to bring back anyone who counts, except Naturia Beast. We could to bring back our Telephon and our Staplin, so that would actually be kind of cool. So that, that is pretty advantageous, so we'll probably end up doing that. We will still use our Smartphone here, so we'll Smartphone and roll, I'm not sure if that was my initial roll, was the 4, but, so we will take our Scannon or Converter. Scannon just means that we have another way to get to Converter on our next turn. We already used Converter, and Converter is unfortunately a hard once per turn for this deck, so we can't really use it again. So what we are going to do now is we are probably going to use that Desynchro. We are going to Desynchro our Naturia Beast. I know, crazy, right? And we are going to bring back our Telephon and our Staplin. Unfortunately, we don't have extra monster zones to be able to sort of manipulate this stuff, so we could bring use Telephon's effect to bring something else back. I guess we still could, yeah. So we're going to take these two this time to go for the Naturia Beast. Naturia Beast will now draw us a card off of the TG Hyper Librarian, and now we will use Telephon, and Telephon will be able to bring back Selfon. We'll just roll just sort of as a formality. Hey, we still got a 1, so we'll bring him back to the field, and then we will take these two to go for our second copy of Formula Synchron. It is still kind of nice to bring back, to bring out Formula Synchron, because if you do end your board like this, and then your opponent uses Forbidden Droplet on Naturia Beast and Crystal Clearwing and Appaloosa, then you are still actually able to use these two. As long as they don't negate Formula Synchron, you can use these two to be able to go into Black Rose Dragon and then blow up the field at any point, which is cool, or use TG Hyper Librarian as well. So we do get to draw 2 now again, because we did this. We have a junk box and a 1-for-1, so we still can actually combo more. I was hoping we would draw a Desynchro, but you can't wish for them all. So what we can do next is we can use junk box, bring back a Smartphone. I believe this Smartphone was naturally summoned, so we will use Smartphone to go ahead and roll, and we have a 1, a 2, and a 3, and we will pick up that Morphtronic Slingin right there. And technically what we can do, if we really did want to, we would be able to take the Smartphone and the Hyper Librarian to go in for our IP Masquerena, or you could use the Formula Synchron and the Smartphone. Whatever you really want to do, I would probably just go ahead and take these guys for IP Masquerena. I feel like TG Hyper Librarian has served its purpose and is kind of done. Now you at least have that Formula Synchron. Basically, Formula Synchron and IP Masquerena are here for the same reasons. You have IP to be able to go in for Boral Sword Dragon or Nightmare Unicorn, and you have the Formula Synchron to be able to go in for Black Rose Dragon. But that is essentially going to do it for this combo line. We ended up really, really nicely. We still have 5 cards in hand, so we have a full grip for our next turn, and we still have other options to go into. So if our opponent breaks our board, we are still able to go into Baronne de Fleur. We have everything that we need to go into a Baronne here. We can just, on our next turn, we can normal summon Slingin and special out Scannon using his own effect, and we can go in for a Baronne de Fleur. And then we always have 1-for-1 and other stuff to go into more combos, and we have Boral Sword Dragon to try to finish off our opponent's life points. But that's going to do it for this combo line. Let's do one more hand test. Alright guys, so I think for this second hand test run, what we're going to do is we're actually going to go for like an actual like sort of like perfect hand. I am going to try to make it a little bit more realistic by saying that we have Call by the Grave. That way we can sort of say like when we use like Machine Duplication, if our opponent used like Ash Blossom on us, then we still have like that Call by the Grave. That way this combo line is a little bit more realistic. So basically though, if you open up like this is basically the nuts because you have Self-On and Smartphone here, which is like the perfect materials to go in for Formula Synchron. And so we have the Desynchro on here. You generally want to open up with like 1 Desynchro and 1 Machine Duplication, but you can generally draw into them. It's not too hard, but like honestly, like for like this perfect-ish hand test here, it would be like pretty good also to open up with like a Telephone and or a Morphtronic Converter. Converter is kind of there as like a backup if you end up just sort of like stumbling into some bad die rolls and stuff. And if you didn't open up Self-On and you opened up Telephone and used Machine Duplication, you would still be doing really good as well. But overall, Self-On is still probably the best way to open up, and then you can get into your Telephones as you go through. So we're going to start with this as our opening hand, and we are just going to see what we can do with it. This should be pretty darn crazy because there shouldn't be too much that can stop us. So we have 1 copy of Self-On here. We're going to start off and triple him up with a Machine Duplication. So we're going to go for our next and our 3rd copy of Self-On, bringing them out onto the field, and now our opponent just loses because this is just so much power right here. Basically, if you get Machine Duplication Self-On, you are just good to go. So we're going to go with Self-On number 1 here. We are going to go for a 5, so that's a really good roll. So we got a 5, and we're going to go for, here we have a Telephone. Telephone's really good. Smartphone, we already have 1 in hand, and honestly, I just like to summon him via his own effect. And Remoten can get us into like another Smartphone or something, so this is kind of hard, but we just got to take the Telephone. I think we're going to put Telephone in defense position. That way we can get a good mill possibly as well, and then we can hopefully get a Converter out and be able to switch him to attack position just like we did in the last combo back there. So we are going to now use the Telephone's effect here because he can stack the deck, so it's kind of cool to be able to use him. So we're going to go for a roll of 6. So we go 1, 2, 3, oh my gosh, 4, 5, 6. We got really lucky back there with having that 6 roll right there. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to mill a Converter to the graveyard because we can literally search this with our Scannon. So we're going to mill that, and we're going to stack Scopin to the top because with the defense position here, send 1 excavated Morphtronic card to the graveyard and place the rest onto the top or the bottom of the deck in any order, which is so powerful. So we're actually just going to, actually we're not going to stack the Scopin now that I'm thinking about it, because Scopin's not that great. You can just summon it by Halka Fibrax combo. So I think that we are actually going to, we could just, I think we are actually just going to keep the Converter. Now I kind of talked myself out of that. We're just going to pitch the Scopin to the bottom, and we're just going to set those to the bottom in any order. Scopin is going to hit the graveyard. Now we can use our Self-On's effect here because now our bottom of our deck is just stacked with 4 spells, which means that our top of our deck should be pretty stacked. So we roll another 5. We're getting good high rolls. And now we are getting into some good stuff. So we have a Scannon. So we're going to take the Scannon there because that is our guaranteed Morphtronic Converter, which we were trying to get into. So we are just going to get that out of the way. And then we're also able to like stack our deck another time, which is really cool. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take this Self-Fund just to sort of clear up our field a little bit. We'll go in for that Link Karibo just to get him live. And then we are going to, what do we want to do next? We do have our Smart Fawn in hand as well. We are going to use the Scannon. So we'll use Scannon's effect and search for that Morphtronic converter. We will take that to our hand. And then we have to put one card out onto the top of the deck. So with that, we are going to go ahead and stack our Smart Fawn. It's a, or we could really just use Smart Fawn's effect, and that will just pick the converter back up as well. So I think that the line that I'm thinking that I like is we are going to, we have to stack a card. So we're going to stack the converter back to the top, and then we're just going to summon out the Smart Fawn by banishing our Self-Fawn right here. And then we are going to go ahead and use our Smart Fawn to be able to roll. We roll a 5, and we are just going to take the converter or the repair unit, whichever one we want. Converter is just going to let us do some really cool plays. So I think that we're going to take that. We can always try to get into a repair unit later once the deck just gets a little bit thinner. So we are going to go there and we shuffle the deck back after Smart Fawn resolves. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take our Scannon, I'm thinking. Yeah, we're going to take Scannon and our Link Karibo to go for Halk. Halk is then going to summon out our copy of, where is it? We have one more Scopen in the deck, so we'll put Scopen into defense position. We'll take the Self-Fund, who's, or have we used the Self-Fund's effect? Yeah. This Self-Fund summoned out, that Self-Fund summoned out Scannon, and then the other one summoned out Telephone. So we are going to use those for our linked material to go for our TG Hyper Librarian. And then also, if we did feel squeamish, we could just have gone for like Appaloosa play as well. But what we are going to probably do is we are going to, we don't want to use Converter yet because we don't have anything in our hand, but we can kind of load up our hand now by our Synchro play. So we're going to take, we still have to use our Self-Fund, so we'll use Self-Fund's effect, and we'll go for a 3 here. So we reveal 3, and we will get Remoten. We will just go ahead and use Remoten right away, and we are going to banish this copy of Self-Fund. That way we are able to add another copy of Smart Fawn to our hand, which is really amazing. Adding a Smart Fawn to hand is always so good. We are now just going to try to get a little bit more comfortable with our space, and we are going to take these guys to go for an Appaloosa play. Now our board is totally safe from stuff like Nibiru. We can now get out this Smart Fawn by banishing that Smart Fawn. We'll use this Smart Fawn now to roll, and we roll for a 3, so we will go ahead and reveal our top 3 from the deck. Hoping we would get a repair unit there, but we can always try for another. So we are going to get that Remoten right there, because Remoten is a viable target to special summon off of our Morphtronic converter, or hopefully we can get ourselves a non-tuner, which would be really nice. So we are going to take these two and finally go for our Formula Synchron play. Now we will be able to draw 2 from the deck. Pretty cool, pretty good pickups. We got the Telephone, so we have 2 Telephones out of the deck now, and now we are just going to desynchro and try again. So this is where the plays get really absurd, so we are going to send that back to the extra deck and get these 2 out. We are going to now reuse our Smart Fawn's effect now that he is replenished. And right there, we got nothing that we picked up right there. That is unfortunate. Every now and then, though, you're going to get a bad roll. So we're going to use our Self-Fund now, and we roll for a 6. Okay. That was kind of a piddly roll, but we're going to take it. So maybe we want to go for one of these level 4 guys. That sounds pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and take the Boombox in there because he is the Earth attribute. So we can kind of go for a Naturia Beast play if we want to. So I think that we're going to try for that. So we're going to take these guys and go for Naturia Beast because Naturia Beast is just too good to pass up. And yeah, I guess we'll just leave Naturia Beast there. We'll draw 1 off of the Nat Beast summon as well. And now we can activate our Morphtronic converter finally. Sorry, my hand is getting all kinds of jumbled up here. So we have our Morphtronic converter. We're going to use that to flip this into attack position and then special summon something from the hand. And we just want to go for a non-tuner, I'm thinking. Vacuumin just kind of stinks, though. So maybe we might go for something else. We might just go for that second copy of Telephon, just because Telephon is just too good. So we're going to get out a Telephon there, and we are going to now we can't do nothing there, because now we have, yeah, actually we are, what do we want to do here? See, you guys are watching me like think live while I'm playing, so, oh man, that glare is back again. Okay, all right. So what we are going to do is we are going to go ahead and take the Telephon from our hand, and we are going to special it in defense position, which I believe we are allowed to do. Yeah, you just got to summon it to the field in any position. So now we'll use this Telephon's effect. So we're going to use him, and we are going to reveal 5, and we can mill something to the graveyard, which is pretty cool. And we were just going to pitch this Morphtronic Converter, just get it out of the deck. Now that we've already used Converter, there's no point in not doing it. And I almost just shuffled these into the deck. We're going to put them to the bottom of the deck, because I just don't really like any of those cards. It would be kind of nice to get these slinging, but I feel like there's better options in the deck. So now we have used these guys, so we're going to take them and go ahead and go in for our Formula Synchron. So now Formula Synchron was made with the Cellphon and the Telephon, so we got to keep that in mind. And then with the Formula Synchron right there, we get to draw 2 cards. We got a DDR and a Morphtronic Repair Unit, which is really, really solid. Now we want to try to get into our level 7 monster, our Crystal Wing, or our Clear Wing Synchro Dragon. So that means that we want to try to get our Scannon back to the field, as well as our any of our level 1s. So we want to try to get to that somehow. So we're actually, at this point, I think, going to use our Morphtronic Repair Unit in order to pitch our Vacuum into the graveyard. We don't really need him anymore, so we're gonna pitch the Vacuum in, and then we will just bring him. I think I would still rather have Cellphon. So we're gonna bring Cellphon to the field, and then we're gonna use these guys to be able to go in for our Martial Metal Marcher. So we will go for the Marcher, and off of that we get to draw another card, we get a Smartphone. That is not too bad as well. So our next play would actually be to probably, with the Martial Metal Marcher, we are able to bring something back from the graveyard as well. So we'll probably just bring back another Smartphone. No reason not to. I believe, yeah, this guy had to have been summoned off with his own effect. We're going to say that we're bringing back one of the Smartphones who was brought out with his own effect. I don't think we've summoned any of them off with Cellphon, actually. So we're going to use Smartphone here. We're going to roll, pick up a 5 there, which is pretty good. And with the 5, we only get one option, so we'll take that Morphtronic Remoten. Now, as you guys can see, our field is just getting clogged. And this is what sort of happens from time to time. So we kind of have to do a little bit of cleanup duty here. So we're going to do actually some Link playing. So we're going to take these 2 cards, and we're going to go for a Link summon of our IP Masquerena, just to get that onto the field. And then from where we're at now, we actually have to summon out our extra Smartphone from right here. We'll banish this Smartphone for this guy, and we will we'll use his effect to reveal from the top of our deck. And only seeing one. Okay, we do have a Scannon. Scannon is actually what we really needed there. That was actually perfect for the moment. And then it's really unfortunate, but right now we're going to have to use our TG Hyper Librarian as a link material. So we're going to use Masquerena, Smartphone, and Librarian to be able to go in for our Borrelsword Dragon. And we're going to put Borrelsword right there. That way we do have that extra link zone. But now Borrelsword does have IP Masquerena protection, so it can't be destroyed by battle, and it can't be destroyed by card effects, which is really, really nice. We want to keep Naturia Beast on the field, so we're just going to sort of lose that draw power from the deck that TG Hyper Librarian gives us. But all we're trying to really do now is to go into Baronne de Fleur or our Crystal Clear Wing Synchro Dragon. So now what we can do is we are going to use our Different Dimension Reincarnation to pitch our one of our copies of Remoten there. And we are going to bring a Cellphon onto the field. And now, unfortunately, we're not going to use the Cellphon's effect, because that would just sort of hinder our next play. So what we're going to do is we're going to summon out our Scannon by banishing this copy of Remoten and bring Scannon out onto the field. We could bring him in defense position. That way we could use his effect. So maybe we'll do that. So we'll use his defense effect once per turn during the main phase. add a level 4 or lower Morphtronic from your graveyard to your hand. So that will be able to get us another copy of Smart Fawn. So we'll add a Smart Fawn to our hand, and then we are going to put this Telefawn back to the top of the deck, which means that we can always add it right back, which is really cool. Then we're going to take these guys to go into our Clearwing Dragon, and then we'll take these guys to go into our Crystal Clearwing. The really cool thing that you can do with this deck still is that we are playing one copy of Monster Reborn in the deck, so you could theoretically have brought back the TG Hyper Librarian and then still been able to draw cards off of its card effect if you had the Monster Reborn. We just unfortunately did not draw into it. Now we are going to summon out this Smart Fawn by banishing, we've already, we'll just banish the Scannon there. He's kind of unimportant. We're going to say that that was the Scannon that we first summoned, this Scannon is the new Scannon that is now in our graveyard. We're going to use this Smart Fawn, and we are going to reveal a 6. That's pretty awesome. So we already knew that we had the guaranteed Telefawn at the top of the deck, and we'll just take another Scannon because he is a guaranteed summon to the field as long as we can get another Morphtronic monster to our hand on our next turn. But I think that's going to do it for where this combo line ends. So we still have a Neutria Beast, Crystal Clearwing Synchro, and Appaloosa with 3 negates. So we got to keep that in mind. We also have Boral Sword Dragon on the field now to help protect. And then we also have Smart Fawn, which can then go out for our Link Karibo. Which means that we are able to also help, basically with these two guys, we are able to protect our Appaloosa and our Naturia Beast. That way they don't get beaten over, which is really, really cool. We still have that Call by the Grave in our hand, which we did not end up using. So this was just like a 4-card combo with how this all worked out. And again, it just all depends on the rolls, depends on what you guys reveal from your rolls. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this tutorial on how to run Morphtronics using like, basically like Synchro Turbo. We did not get into too many of the desynchros, which I was a little upset about. We did not end up picking up too many of those, which would have been really cool to help us kind of keep comboing off. But and that is the main reason why I did include Boral Sword into this list, is because you end up having so much monsters on the board. It is nice to just sort of link them away and sort of clean up the board to be able to do more of your synchro plays. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel if you guys haven't already, if you guys enjoyed this video, and give it a like if you guys haven't already as well. So we will see you guys for the next combo tutorial. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.